Let's jump in and get started here this morning. So, for those of you that don't know me, one of the co-founders of SmartSuite, John Darbyshire, CEO. These What's New webinars we like to do 2 or 3 times a year to update our customers on the features that we've rolled out since the last time we had the chance to speak with you. Today, we're going to focus on a top 10 list that's happened over the last 2 or 3 months. And Emma, are you hearing me okay? Okay, just want to make sure. So housekeeping wise, so please jump in and add comments, share where you're from. If you have things that you have questions about, our team is behind the scenes and we'll get those answered for you. That's there. Um, for those of you that have not been to one of these events before, let me just share a couple of things here very quickly. The first of which is you can go to our website at any time. And let's start here under resources. You can click on webinars and workshops. And here you'll see both a listing of all the upcoming events, but down below, once the recording happens today, you'll see the recording pop up this afternoon here. So you can come back to this What's New at any time and be able to watch that. You can also go to our What's New page. So if you click on platform here and click What's New, you'll see a listing of all the features that come out each week. We typically do releases on Tuesdays and Thursdays, so we'll have a release of everything that's popped up during that week for you to take a look at. That's here. So this is how you keep up to date on everything kind of in real time. You can subscribe to this information as well. You can also go to resources and to our demo library on the website. And within demo library, there's really 3 different types of content that you'll find, from getting started videos if you're new to SmartSuite that Artem produces for us. That's here. Didn't mean to click on that one. Sorry about that. Down below, you'll see a listing of different solution videos that are available. And then at the very bottom here, you'll see new features. So this is where Artem can be a little more creative and go through each of the topics that we're talking about and show different use cases that are there. And then for those of you that are new today and just getting to know SmartSuite and kind of the platform and the capabilities, you can go to the website to our platform page, and we'll take you through an overview of each of the key topics associated with the SmartSuite platform, with just general overviews, but then each of the core features that are here. So that's the best way to kind of stay up to date on what's happening at SmartSuite. As we kick into today's What's New that's here, we have this top 10 list of features that we're going to run through, from a new feature that we released last quarter that's really, it's probably the most used feature that we have in the last couple of months, which is record tabs and conditional logic associated with that. We're then going to talk about our new document view capability that allows you to basically replicate Google Docs, Notion, Coda, those types of things directly in SmartSuite. And we'll have some interesting use cases that we're going to show you. We're going to talk about a feature that's been in beta and alpha for about 4 months with select customers that will be released in 2 weeks to all customers with AI field agents. That's there, which will probably become very quickly our most used feature that we have. Artem's then going to run through dynamic record permissions that comes out here towards the end of next week to all customers. And then just a few interesting new features we want to make sure that you're taking, that you know of and that you could take advantage of, that's there. On today's, let me stop sharing here so I can see everyone. Presenting with me today, we have Artem. I think most of you know, has been on most of our What's New webinars. And say hello, Artem. That's here. Artem is our platform product manager. He's based in Portugal. Also joined here is Preston Gillum, who is our product manager on the solution side. And then co-founder Pete Novacell is joining us to get all things technical. We call him Dr. Novacell. That's here. So I think to kick things off, we're just going to jump right into record tabs with Preston. She's going to give an overview and show a few live demos of that.
All right, sounds good. Thanks, John. I'm going to start sharing my screen and we'll jump right into this and show you guys a lot of content today. All right, I'm sharing my screen now, and we're going to start with the record tabs and show how those can be used, and then how we can also use conditional logic for those additionally. So I'm on my homepage right now, and I'm going to drill directly into a solution and then into a record. For this use case, I'm going to use policy management, which you can utilize this to manage the full life cycle of policies and then organize these within here. So as you drill into a solution and then into a table and then into a record, you're going to see right off the bat, I already have tabs set up in here, and this is going to help one with organization, but also with the logic as well. So in this use case, I have a policy. I'm cataloging lots of different information about that policy. We already have some fantastic sections to be able to see things like purpose, statement, and scope. But now we also have the ability to have tabs. So I have my overview first. Second, I have references, maybe any linked records where I want to associate this policy, and then other process elements such as exceptions and acceptances as well. And so to be able to set these up, you can go to the page settings. If you hit these three dots in the action menu and then go to page settings, you're going to get this view, this right panel right here, which you can do multiple different things with the layout, the fields, the display logic. There is now a tab at the very end called tabs, and you can go in here and enable them. So they'll initially be disabled, you'll enable them. There's a couple different ways you can view this. So I really like the process, especially if you're going through different steps of a process within here. We also just have basic, which is going to underline the tab that you're on, and then journey as well, which is kind of like a chevron within here. Underneath, these are my actual tabs where you can really easy hit the plus sign and add those tabs. You can play around with moving them around. And then my favorite, you can also layer on top logic within here. And so if I want to only show certain tabs at certain times, maybe based on different attributes and logic, I can do that similarly to how we've been able to do that for sections as well. So for example, in here, I have one where I want to be able to show this new tab only when I get to the review stage. So we'll use this stage status field to drive this. And so as soon as I move from authoring to ready for review, we'll see that review and approve tab come up. And now we're ready to bring in Tara's approval where she can sign off on this and use this. So you can show this at different time or based on different attributes, allowing you to make different templates within this record view. Anything additional, Artem, John, you wanted to add to this piece? This is really helpful, not only just for not long record views of scrolling, but also different stages you may want to call out and different logic you want to call it as well.
Yeah, no, I think the key here is that lots of requests to add tabs. So we give you three different options that's here with the conditional logic, and then you can combine the conditional logic also with the sections that are included. So you can get, when people come to a page that has hundreds and hundreds of fields, they can start with just a single tab. And as they fill information out, it can get more complex as it goes through the workflow journey if needed. So yeah, perfect. Thank you, Preston. Yeah, let's jump into document view, which is a really fun, interesting one. We're seeing lots of great use cases from customers here.
All right, sounds good. So I'll transition to the second one and start explaining this. I'm now within a compliance solution. So I'm going to show two different examples in here for document view. This is a view type. So over here on the left panel is where you can add them. You can start to see a little preview. I have a couple within here. But if you want to add a brand new one, whether you're in any of your tables, you can go down here to the create new views. You'll see it as a new option. If you scroll to the bottom, being able to select the document view. These are available for public or private. So I do see people generate these publicly. I'll show some examples of that, but privately as well. If you're a OneNote person, note taker person, you want something private to be able to do that directly in SmartSuite, this is really helpful and powerful for that. All right, we'll see this. I just generated this. If you are a fan of Smart Doc fields, you're going to love this because we're now using it on a larger scale in the document view. So you'll see this will generate real quickly. I have all my rich editing tools, and then I also have the ability to hit the backslash key and use the same menu options that we have within Smart Doc field. So I can use AI, I can mention someone, I can use different dates, I can insert images and videos and attachments, really helpful when you're putting together documentation. And then all the advanced capabilities as well, such as code block, call outs, whiteboarding, so on and so forth. And so if I wanted to use AI to prompt something real quick within here, such as being able to see a compliance process for regulatory requirements, I can use that and have it prompt all that information for me real quickly, just like in the Smart Doc field. You have the ability to title it, and then you also have other settings in terms of the appearance of it, being able to share it out, the permissionings that's included within it. So if you only want to use this for certain people within SmartSuite, you can permission this to only selected members. And then also the ability to share this out outside of SmartSuite as well. So if you use the shared document feature, I can toggle this on, just like some of other view types. I can decide how I want to restrict it, and then I can send it within a link or embed behind an intranet, and they can access the same document as well. So that's a blank one. And how you get it started, I'm going to show two examples of ones that have been completed so you guys can get an idea, kind of get the creativity flowing within here. One of these is an executive and board report. So if you're somebody who's regularly having to report to the board and your findings, the different things you're doing in your process, this could be a really great tool for you. I generated this not too long ago. This is specific for the compliance program. So as a lot of key insights are being found, being able to report on the overall compliance posture. You can also insert images. So if any of those graphs or charts are important for your summary, you can embed those in here as well, so that once you put this all together, you can also duplicate this if this is a template and you're going to use it over and over again, taking out a lot of the manual work that it takes to put these together. Final example, I'm going to move to an incident solution. And so a lot of times after an incident, a post-mortem or lessons learned or some type of summary is important, whether it's for your overall organization or for in the upper levels of management. And so after we've gone through the process of managing and hopefully resolving that incident, we can put together a post-mortem lesson learned. Again, you can use the AI to help you generate this. You can have a template and kind of kick that off. But here we have a post-mortem where we're saying when the incident happened, what was the impact of it, so on and so forth. And then also any metrics we wanted to include using those rich editing tools to make this really easy to comprehend. All right, those are my examples, John. Anybody, anything else to kind of add to this that may be helpful for those listening?
Yeah, I would say that, a lot of our smaller customers are using this with discussions that they're having with their customers. If your agencies, professional services firms, document requirements for projects that are in place that you can share. Just like you share a dashboard or a view in SmartSuite, you can share this outside of SmartSuite with customers. And then, Preston, can you open back up the menu on the left here? So,
Yep.
when you set up folders in SmartSuite, sorry, the one on the other side. Yeah, you, when you set up folders in SmartSuite, you can permission, the people that can see what's in that folder. So you could have executive folders, leadership folders, management folders that have different types of docs that are set up. That's here with just easy access. That's here. And then we're also seeing a lot of admins use this to document the requirements for the solutions that they've built that's in, or to use for change requests to show updates that have been made. And they make that as the first document in the view, or the first view that's in the list here on the left. So perfect. Thank you, Preston. Next, we're going to move on to AI field agents. And Preston, as you pull that up, I just want to give a very quick overview of what this means. So an AI field agent allows you to go into select SmartSuite field types, and you'll see a new tab that shows under field settings for each of these field types called AI field agent. And Preston's going to pull this up. Yep. So you can see here. And when Preston clicks on this, what this allows you to do is to use AI now to enter a prompt, and you can pull in data from other fields in that record inside of the prompt. And then you can determine when this prompt actually executes. So you could have it run every time that a data in one of the fields that you've referenced has been updated, or you could have it set to run manually where you click a button and it runs, but it will use AI to perform that particular action that you're asking for in real time. You can combine 5, 10, 15 of those together inside of records that are here. So things as records and content is being entered, AI is kicking off and making decisions or summarizing information or doing research. Think of a CRM where you add a contact and you want to do some research on the contact and fill in information in real time, or a company that's there. So this particular feature has been live for about 4 months with quite a large group of customers trying it out, and it will go live to all customers in about a week and a half that's there. So you'll see a bigger announcement here towards the middle of next week on the exact date that's here. And Preston, I'll turn it over to you and let you kind of run through things in detail and show some fun examples.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks, John. All right, so I'm going to show two different use cases within here. The first one is within risk, and I'm going to show a couple different ways we can utilize this, not only within a single select to give me just an overall scoring, but also a rationale as well. So if I go into a record, we're going to be able to see this a little bit more specifically because we're calling out that these are AI fields within here. So as I'm in a risk, I'm wanting to understand how important or how severe unauthorized data disclosure is. And I'm of course able to already use my single selects and my formulas to help me with that scoring. But now we're going to use the power of these AI field agents to layer on top of what I like to call a gut check or a summarization. So when you're coming in here and you're using your expertise, you're able to make informed decisions based on what the AI has done. And as John mentioned, this can run automatically. So every single time you come in here, you're getting that updated analysis of all those fields you are referencing. And so these are all four fields that are using those AI field agents. We're kind of getting a gut check on our scoring against this risk, how significant or how low it may be inherently and residually. And then we're also going to utilize a text area field to tell us why those might be the ratings. And so I always recommend use AI to utilize and take away a lot of manual tasks, but also have it tell you why it gave you that analysis, and then maybe have it take an extra step in terms of what should you do with this information. And so each of these have prompts within them where we are feeding them the data and information, we're feeding them the field information. You have the ability to write these custom prompts within here as soon as you toggle on the AI field agent and then have it generate. And as anytime any of that data has been changed, I'll kind of change one real quick right here. But I also like to layer on top linked records and lookups and rollup fields because you can reference those as well within the referenceable fields. And so you can say, hey, we have a link to a project task, and I want to know how that's going to affect my project plan. Or I have a link to a control. We actually have that as an example within here where I have controls that I'm linking and associating. I want to understand if any of those fail, if it's going to affect my risk rating. So you can see this generating live. We're getting a new analysis. All the ones that are connected are going to regenerate. And so that's going to be live information up to date in a matter of a couple seconds. So I can always see the most up to date information. So that's one example, using it as a gut check for analysis, having it help you understand what maybe next steps you should take, whatever use case. We can add these to the single selects or the overview fields. Another example I'm going to show is for prioritization. So let's say you're needing to prioritize IT tickets. Those are coming in and you need to know which ones you need to work first. I'm in an ITSM solution right now. I'm on a dashboard where my IT team can come in here and say what's currently on the queue and what is organized by the most urgency. And so we want to have AI help us do that. So we're not having to do a review against the priority and then a review against the ticket. So I just have a quick one queued up real quick. It doesn't matter how this information comes in, whether it comes in through a form, which is really helpful for these IT tickets as I have here. Someone is locked out of their account and they want to have help with that. As soon as that is submitted, as soon as it's ingested, whether it comes from an automation or a form, we're going to see that ingested into SmartSuite. We see right here, I have my new ticket, the generation for the priority and the rationale against the priority is generating, and it deems it as high. We have a field agent or urgent. We have a field agent within here, and then we also have a rationale telling us why we think it's a high priority. Maybe we have the person tied to it is a C level. Maybe this is really critical to a process we have underneath that's associated. And so now we don't have to do that manually. It's done for us. And so this could be done across project management, business operations. When you're trying to get things to the top of your queue, have AI help you do that as soon as that information is created. All right, John, those are my two examples. Do you have any follow-up things or Artem as well?
Yeah, if you can just jump into the field settings real quick and let's just show a couple of settings that are here on how you actually set up the prompt. So we try to keep it very simple. That's here. So for the field types that it's available for, you'll see the tab that will show at the bottom on the instructions side. You can just start adding your prompt information that's here. And then on the right-hand side, there's a plus icon. And that is bringing up a list of all of the fields that are available in the table that you're in that's here. So you can start selecting those and include those as part of the prompt. So it's looking in and pulling data from each of the inputs that you put here. And then you can get as sophisticated as you want in the instructions on the type of output that you're looking for. So very, very powerful that's here. What's going to be coming here in the future is you'll be able to not just use Chat GPT-5 that we're showing here. You'll be able to select from any of the available models that we support, which is 10 plus models or platforms that are there today. And then you'll have the ability to enable and disable this feature in general that's there and select the specific model or models that you want just your team to use that's there. So if you're a Chat GPT shop or a Claude shop, it depends on what you might want to make available that's here. But it's very powerful. We're using this across almost every workflow in our company now. It's embedded across all of our CRM. All of our data is updated in real time as things start to happen. One of my favorite features that we've released in some time. So thank you, Preston, for that. And just to keep things rolling, we have another big feature that I'm going to turn over to Artem now on dynamic record permissions. And dynamic record permissions is part of our tech stack on permissions where you can set permissions at the workspace level, at the solution level, at the table level, at the field level, and now at the record level, but it can be dynamic. So you can use conditional logic to determine the permissions for a particular record as it's going through a workflow. So Artem, can let you jump in and show this off.
Yep, absolutely. All right, so the massive update to our permissions engine, dynamic record permissions. And really, I was thinking how we can define it in a very simple term, but John just did it for me. So basically, yeah, indeed, it's a set of rules that let you control who can view and modify your records depending on the context of the workflow. That's important, depending on the field values of your records, right? And I think we can all think of scenarios and use cases when certain people or groups of people need to gain access or lose access to certain records based on where we are in the process. So that's exactly the problem that dynamic record permissions are solving. So because they are record-based, we'll need to go to the table permissions. And the first thing you'll see is that the table permissions model has been redesigned. Now we have the list of tables on the left, so you can easily switch between tables and you don't need to close the model and open it again when you need to move to another table. You can do it all at once here. And then each table will have its own tab for static permissions and a new tab for dynamic record permissions. This is where you can view and modify existing rules and also create new rules. So I want to walk you through quickly through the structure of those rules just to show you what's happening inside, right? So every rule will have a name and a description, and recommendation is to use those fields very carefully, because you will thank me later, because you can easily get messed up if you just name them like rule 1 or rule 2. So please be descriptive. You have description, you have the name. That's important. Then the next thing is we have to define the audience, like who this rule applies to. And there are several ways we can do it. The basic one is everyone in a table. That's one thing. But then you can say only selected people. Or you can go the other way around and say everyone except selected people. And then those selected people can be specific members or teams or even permission types, right? Or even a combination of those three if you want. So you can say this rule applies to this person, this team, and also editors. But in my example, I kept it really simple, saying, okay, this rule only applies to the reviewer's team. And once we have the audience, we can then define the rules themselves. And we have 4 action types: view, edit, create, and delete. And within one rule that targets one audience, we can configure those rules separately. Like in this case, I'm saying, okay, for reviewer's team, they can't view records that have status draft. So the use case here is that my reviewers should not be seeing any records that are in draft because they are just not yet ready to be worked on. So I will just remove the clutter. But for editing rule, it gets a little bit more interesting, because I'm saying they can only edit records where status is ready for review and the reviewer is the current user. And what it actually means in simpler words is that if I belong to the reviewer's team, I will only be able to edit records if the status is ready for review and that record is assigned to me as the current user. Okay. And I'll leave these two empty for now. Let's just see how it works. So right now, as a solution manager, I can see all the records, and you see there are two records that are in draft. But as I switch, I'll be using the view as feature, and I can then view all these records through the eyes of other people. For example, Drake Stone, I know he's a member of the reviewers team. So when I switch to that person, okay, so the first thing you'll notice is that draft records went away. That's where the viewing restriction kicked in. I'm not seeing those. But look what happens when I hover over other fields and other records. All of them became read-only, except for this single record where it says ready for review, and it's assigned to me as the current user. So that's now the only record that I can work. So I hope this gives you a brief demo of the power of those dynamic restrictions. And I just give you a little teaser that it doesn't stop there, because you can also control, the parts of the records that can be visible. For example, you can cut off certain tabs or certain sections. And what's really, really important to understand is this thing works on the API level. So it's not just UI thing. Yep, like we'll see in a moment when we'll talk about conditional logic in the record page, where it really works just on the UI. This thing, it's built into the core of the permissions engine. So if I don't have access to view or edit a field or a record, it will be applied in the grid view, in the record page, in the dashboard, in the chart, just everywhere. Okay. So this wraps up the part for the record permissions. John, anything else you want to add?
Yeah, let's just talk about a couple of things here. So dynamic record permissions were added for people that want to send work through workflows, and they want to make sure that people don't have access to particular records at certain points in time, or access is taken away when something is finalized and maybe moves from an edit state to a view state as it goes through those different stages of the process that are there. Permissions that you grant through dynamic permissions can only take away permissions that you've been granted already to a table. So you can't add more permissions to somebody that you didn't already give them to the solution or the table that they're in. It only takes away from that point forward. And it's a great way that a lot of people have been using filters and views to filter down information as things go through workflows. This makes sure that they don't have access to that information that's there. Excuse me. It also allows you to set up values list type fields and put things in different classification levels for content. So maybe you have company confidential content that only the executive team should see or the leadership team should see. And you can set permissions to ensure that other people in the company can't see it based on the classification level that comes through. This particular feature is live with, has been live now for about 2 months with a select group of customers. We'll be making an announcement on Tuesday of next week for this going live to all customers, everything that Artem has shown you today. That's it. So yeah, any questions on this, please throw these into the Q&A channel, and we'll make sure that one of the team members is kind of answering those behind the scenes as Artem moves on next to the page settings.
Yeah, there will be questions. No. I think next topic for me will be updates to linked records. And then
Okay, perfect.
Page. All right. So recently we rolled out 2 updates to the linked record field. One of them is inline editing, and the other one is grouping. So let's start with the inline editing. And I think you all agree that the grid display format that was there for a while was really everyone's favorite, because it's really easy to work with this list when you have like linked contacts, linked tasks, order items, etc., etc. But now in the field settings, we have these 2 toggles, and when you enable it, your static table basically turns into a fully functional grid view. And it's not that you can just change single cells. We support almost the entire suite of features. Like you can do bulk updates, you can do copy paste, you have the right-click context menu. And the coolest thing is that when I'm making changes to those linked records, they happen in the real time. So I don't need to save the main record for them to be effective, right? Additionally, in the settings, we have a way to allow or forbid adding the new records in line, because in some cases you want it, in other cases you don't. So when the thing is enabled, you will click plus and it will work just like in the regular grid view. You can add those records in line. If you turn it off, however, then we will just bring, you see the name of the button changes, and will start showing up this listing of the records that you can pick from and link them to your current field. And by the way, this model has been redesigned. Now looks like this. It can be expanded. It's just another quality of life improvement. All right. Another thing for linked records is the grouping feature. And the goal here was to simplify the way you work with the longer lists of linked records. Like when you have 2 or 3, probably grouping doesn't make that much sense. But if you have, 50 or 100 of them, then it's a different story. So the group by is here down below, and it works similar to other view controls. The only thing that you have to remember is that you can only group by a single field, not 3 like in the main group, in the main grid view, but by 1 field. Let's say we'll pick, well, that will be status, probably the easiest example. And also the group by gets applied not only for the grid display, it basically gets applied for all the display formats except for this one that just shows the pills. So maybe let's switch it to expanded just to see how it looks like. I probably haven't changed it. Yeah, okay. That's why I shouldn't have shown it you on the hotfix environment. But anyway, so these things would have been grouped by the status. All right.
Yep. And Artem, let me just jump in and describe this a little better. So this is something that we use in our own CRM at SmartSuite. So we have, if we go into our contacts list and we have contacts that are grouped in different ways, that's there. We can pull them up, yeah, and you see as Artem does here, the not started and the in process. So it allows you to just group the information inside of the grid. And it's very useful when you have tens to hundreds of different linked records that are coming in to put that information into perspective. What's coming in the future is the addition to not just have groupings like you're seeing here on the left, but have tabs across the top that's here where you can filter down the information of the linked record into different subsets. So think of an activity log and you have notes and comments and phone calls and meetings, and you can have those across the top, and it's just filtering the data here in the middle based on that. All right, thank you, Artem.
Right.
I'll let you move on to your next one now.
Yeah, so the next one, I want to talk a little bit about the other updates that we made to the record page. So Preston already touched on the tabs, but there are a couple more. So as tabs were introduced, the entire layout of the page got kind of more complicated. Yeah, we have the tabs, then we have the sections, then we have fields inside the section. And all of these objects can be conditionally hidden or shown. So it became quite challenging to answer the simple question, like, where is the field? So what we did, we enhanced the find field function, and now it works similar to a power search. It searches through the entire content of the record, and for example, if I'll type like project, it will tell me that, okay, I found something on the first tab, on the second tab, and on the third tab. And then as I click through, I can easily see like what are those matches, and then I can find the field that I was looking for, right? Another thing here is that we've simplified the way you can move fields between tabs and sections, because you do it a lot when you're setting up this whole layout. And you can do it either from this right panel, you have move to tab, and what you do, you would select a tab, and also we added the ability to select a section. So you can really select the target precisely. And basically you can do the same From here, when you move the field, you pick a tab, and there you go. Another little enhancement is that we've added those little icons for display logic so that when you're working with fields or tabs or sections, it tells you that there is a rule on the conditional on the display tab. There is a rule that either hides or shows this object. So it makes it easier to work with it at a glance. All right, I think that's it. That's all I have for the record page. So
Yeah, Artem, let me just mention one additional item here that's used quite often that's here is click back into the listing of fields that you have there, Artem, please. And you notice to the right side of each field, you now have a display icon that's here. So if you're setting things up and you come in and you want to show or hide that particular field on the page at that given time, it's just a single click that you can do that. It's also a single click to get into the field settings that you have for that field type as well. So for admins that are setting up things for the first time and you have hundreds or 400 or 500, 600 fields that are there, these navigation new capabilities here just makes it much easier for you to set things up.
Yeah. Oh, and a little announcement here. So we can now conditionally display or hide tabs, sections, and fields. And the fourth bit that is coming is that you will be able to define rules to make fields required based on conditions. That's, yeah, I don't have the exact timeline, John, but that's.
Yeah, it's here in the first quarter. It's on the roadmap for this quarter, and it's just the next one in line after fields was just completed.
All right. So my next topic, I have two more very short. It's a new action in automations. The action is called send notifications. So for those of you who remember, previously it was built in, like integrated into the send SmartSuite email action. And basically there was no way for you to only send a notification. It always came out with an email. So we split them out. And right now we have this dedicated action where you can select a person who will receive it. And the cool thing is that you can use formulas to feed it in as a name. And then, for example, you can have some logic that will analyze, okay, who will be the receiver? And then the result of that formula can go as a send to, as long as it is a name that matches the name of the existing user. And then you can pose a message for whatever you want to notify them. That's one thing.
Yep, and Artem, let's just give a little context to that. So can you describe what a notification means in SmartSuite for the people that might not understand that?
Yeah, sure. So here on the right, you have the bell icon. And when you click on it, you'll get the notification center. So this is the common place where the system sends you all sorts of messages. And that can be when someone assigned you a record, somebody mentioned you in a comment, or an automation sent you a message about something. And you can see those different types of notifications have different icons. The one that was generated by an automation will have this lightning. And yeah, here I have a lot of errors, but whatever. There will be a message saying, hey, notification sent you a message. And that will be whatever that message could be. The message is composed dynamically based on the field values. So it can change.
Yeah, so
time.
it's very common that as work is going through a workflow that you're using an automation to notify people of different things that are happening and the particular actions that you want them to take. So you have the ability to send that in email. You can send that in Slack. You can send that just in SmartSuite. You can do all of those items together at different points in time. So it just gives you just one more level of control on if you want to notify just in SmartSuite first before maybe reaching out to Slack or text or what that might be.
Yeah.
All right. Thanks, Artem. Let you keep going.
Yeah. The last piece I have is the update to the filter widget in the dashboard. And to provide you some context. So the filter widget lets you connect it to other widgets like I have here in this example. It's a project list. And then you can basically set up your filter and then one or several widgets below it will react to that setting and they will reload and display relevant information. For example, show me only projects that are in status in process. What we did recently, we added support for the date fields to be displayed here in the widget. So if I go to widget settings under filters, I can now add dates, due dates, date range, first created and last updated fields. Yeah. And why it is so powerful? Because it now unlocks use cases like, okay, show me projects that, let's say, start tomorrow. Here we go. Show me projects that start next month. You can get that. And if you don't want to use those dynamic values, you can even go and set up like a fixed date range, saying, show me records that have the start date here and the end date, let's say May 20th, whatever it is. Right. So this will be a very widely used feature in all sorts of solutions. I was going to say project management, but not just that. Whatever you want to filter by dates, filter is a very convenient way to do it.
Yeah, so what Artem is showing here with the filter widget type that we have allows you to set filters that can control things on the page that are below it, in this case, and you can connect as many of those as you want. This is one of the most used features and dashboards that we have that allows you to typically put a filter like Artem has here at the top. Sometimes people have filters that go all the way across the page, with 7 or 8 different types of filters that can be set. And it just keeps things very easy for the user once they come in. So they can see things in my queue, in my team's queue, in the whole queue, things that are due today, next week, next month, what's behind, without needing to create lots of different reports. You can just very quickly let them filter. And then when they change that filter, it doesn't affect other users. So it only affects their current session. And then it goes back to the default filters that you've set, when other people log in or the next time they log into this. All right. Thank you, Artem. I think
That's
now
all I
we're
have
going
to you.
to, yeah, appreciate that. We're going to move on to Dr. Novacell here. And Pete is our all things technical person. He's going to kind of dive into a few more technical pieces for some of our admins here.
Get my microphone on here.
There we go.
So I have 2 things that I want to talk to you today about. The first one isn't going to be a live demo, but it's an important step forward, and I want to share a little bit of information about it. Many of our customers are kind of deeply embedded in the Microsoft universe, if you will. So they use Office 365. And the way that we were doing that required you to make individual connections to be able to send email via Microsoft. So what we've done is we've created a Microsoft Office 365 plugin, an application, if you will, that allows admins to install that piece of software within their Microsoft environment. And the first thing that we're doing with that is we're allowing you to select the option to route all of SmartSuite email, including system email. So user-generated, automations generated, system email, everything can be made to go through the Microsoft email infrastructure. And that's important for a couple of reasons. In larger organizations that are controlling and monitoring all of these things and running data loss prevention software and things of that sort, all of that just works when we're funneling all of the email through Microsoft. So this is first of a number of things that we're going to do in that kind of environment, sending Teams messages, eventually interoperating with Copilot, things like that. This kind of sets the foundation and gives us kind of a window into that environment. And the setup and configuration, while I'm not showing it live, it's very straightforward. Just a few clicks and authorization to get all of the software in place. You enable it, but then it gives your Microsoft admins control over what permissions it has, user entitlements, all kinds of different things that are required in larger enterprise organizations. So we're taking this approach with Microsoft. Those of you who are Google business customers and things of that sort we're also looking at using a similar approach for other infrastructure platforms to enable this type of capability for larger organizations. So pretty excited about that. Sorry that I can't give you a live demo, but we will be publishing more information about this. Any other comments or questions, John, before we move into some of the more technical?
No, I think let's move into scripting widget here.
All right. So, as many of you know, we've been expanding the scripting capabilities. Now, of course, we always emphasize that SmartSuite is a no-code platform, and the vast majority of things that you're going to do don't require any script at all. But there are certain instances where you need to do something that might just be very specific to a particular type of workflow. And we want to enable that. And the way that we've done that is we've implemented a scripting widget. The scripting widget is kind of the first step into this territory here, where we're going to give you a canvas that you can work on within the context of a dashboard. Now, we're also in the process of hooking up all of the buttons that allow script action types to be available. All of those are going to be supportive of the same SDK. And when I say SDK, for those of you who aren't on the technical side, it's just a software development kit that allows or gives you capabilities to interact with the platform in certain ways. And many of those are already documented on our developers.smartsuite.com site. We have recently added a few new ones, and I've listed those functions here. And I'll talk about them just very briefly, and then I want to show you some of this kind of in action. I'm not going to go through every single one of them, but I want to give you, we'll do is, as Emma often says, and Preston like to say, the art of the possible. Give you some demonstration. But to run through these very quickly, proxy fetch allows you to instruct the SDK to make a request to an external service on your behalf. And that's really convenient because instead of your web browser making that call, it's having the server do it, which gets around a lot of the browser restrictions that block you from making those types of calls or interacting with certain external sites. So this can be very handy. I'm going to show you an example of where I'd load a library and use its functions to display things in that script widget. Redirect to, because the script widget has a lot of security configuration. It's essentially a sandbox. So it's protecting the SmartSuite environment and all of our users and data from you doing anything, malicious in that window. So what we've done is we've implemented the redirect function to allow you to safely redirect that user from your script widget to a particular record or a view when it's appropriate in the workflow that you're constructing. So kind of a utility function, but very handy to get people where they need to go. Download data just allows you to do exactly that. I'm going to show you an example of where I'm using a PDF library to combine PDFs, and the output of that, again, would normally be sandboxed, but we're giving you an explicit function to allow you to initiate a download of that data. Get grid selections does just what it says. You know that when you have a grid widget, you have a selectable checkbox on the side. And this function allows you to get the context of those selections so you can tell what the user's been doing in another grid widget from your own script. And the last one I'm pretty excited about. I'll show you a very basic demo of this, but it can really do, and we're setting it up to do quite a few additional things in the future. What we're allowing you to do today with it is subscribe to a filter widget. And subscribe means listen to, essentially. You're telling the system, I want to listen to any changes that are made in that filter widget, and I want to get that context in my script. So what that allow you to do is you're filtering things, the script can know which record you're on, and you can go do something with that data. So it can be very handy depending on the workflow you're trying to construct. So without further ado, I just wanted to show you, this is a script widget. And when I put this in viewer edit mode, you have the option to edit it. And what we've done is we've given you kind of a nicer interface, much more space here to write that script. And it's got some reference information. You can scroll through, reference, and look things up just right in context. And you can make these bigger or smaller depending on what you're up to. And then you can test it right here in line. So every time you make a change within that script, it's not automatically running it. It waits until you hit the test button, and then you can save it and have it on your workspace. This is one example I wanted to show you, just kind of using some of the generic functions. In this case, what I've done is I've created a little widget that goes and it's getting the list of solutions that I have access to. And when I pick that one, here I picked our quality assurance. What this is doing is it's showing me all of the permissions that have been configured for that particular solution. So I could see all of the owners, I could see a list of teams, and all of these are expandable to see who's in those things. And I mentioned the ability to download data. What we're actually doing here is using a little library. This is also using that proxy fetch to load a library that knows how to manipulate Excel data. And what I've had the script do is go create me a summary and then a list of the members and a list of the teams and access levels and a list of those members, just to show you that quite a bit is possible here, right? I'm doing a multi-tab Excel export, and this is just from a few lines of script. So that's just kind of one of the types of things that are possible. If we move along here quickly, I just wanted to show you that part of the proxy fetch configuration involves our backend admin. To make this more secure, we allow in the security tab, we now have an option for URL allow list for scripting. And an admin has to explicitly add any of the URLs that you want that script to have available. So you can really control this. You don't necessarily want people loading things from arbitrary locations. If you have a particular repository or an endpoint where you have some script that you want to use, you can do that very easily by whitelisting it here. Once all of that is done, let's move on here. This is a kind of arbitrary example of using that proxy fetch. I enabled the repository that has a library that just does a little confetti animation. And when I click the button, it's running my confetti animation, which I didn't code. I just referenced something online that my admin decided that I could have access to. So nice and easy. It's just a few lines of JavaScript. And now you have a whole world of opportunities to load other code that's already been written and use it within your own script. I had mentioned at the beginning, one of the examples is using that capability. Here I'm using a library that can manipulate PDF files. And I've got a couple of test records with just some arbitrary content. Our skim documentation, that's the subject for another discussion, but put together just a very simple widget that lets you pick the record, say combine, it runs for a second, and then I've got a downloadable link, or I could go create another one. But if I go back here to my grid view, I see that I've now got a merged PDF that includes both the first and the subsequent PDF content. And then you've both got it as a record. We have a function that allows you to upload that file into a files and images field, or as I showed you, you could use that function for the download data and just have it available right from the script itself. The final bit that I'm going to demonstrate, this doesn't do very much, but it shows you the concept. Like Artem was showing you with some of the filtering capability, you can set filters in this filter widget and affect the grid view. And here I'm going to show that, but you see that this number or this ID just updated. That's the record ID of the record that I just selected. So as I navigate through, you can see this continues to update or it clears depending on which one. And I've got this set just to display the first one in the list, but you can get the entire list if you wanted to have multiples and do something with that in your code. So this is just to show you that now we're giving you the ability to reach across the components of your dashboard, use that data, and you can use this to build some very interesting validation logic or other things that interact on a custom basis with other stuff that you've got running in your environment. And that basically wraps it up. We're in the process of updating the documentation on the developer site, and we'll let you know how to do all of these things. I'll also include some of the examples here just to get you started. All right, back to you, John.
All right, thank you, Peter. So we're right on time here, 2 minutes away from our scheduled time. What we'd like to typically do on these, and Pete, can you turn off your sound?
Trying to navigate back to it here. Oh, I have to stop sharing.
All right, there we go. So what we'd like to do on these webinars is give you an idea of some of the features that have just come out or things that are coming out that you can think about taking advantage of. I noticed that there's some comments in here on how you can participate in the beta program for features that are like this. If you have an interest, you just reach out to our support team, or if you have connections, if you're a partner through Artem or one of our product team members, let us know the things that you're interested in. We typically like to work with people in the design of the features, and then you move into the beta phase to help us evaluate the feature, kind of the final feature set that comes about of that. You get a preview of that, and then everything goes live. We'll be making announcements next Tuesday, and then the following Tuesday on updates to the AI field agent and the dynamic record permissions that we showed you today. That's there. And I wanted to mention one last thing that I just remembered in the scripting that Peter was showing you at the end. So our scripting widget gives you the ability to do really custom things inside of SmartSuite. So you can do custom widgets inside of dashboards with really unique display types of things that are there. We have customers doing just amazing things that are there. It's hard to even tell at SmartSuite sometimes when they log in. They've got so many different things happening. But it also allows you to control data inside of SmartSuite, like Peter was showing you. So with the PDF generation that was there, having a single button to take an action on data that's in SmartSuite using code in a very secure manner that's there. So if you can't get to what you need through formulas or through automations or through AI, we also give you the ability to use scripting now at that level. And that's a feature that we'll continue to enhance as we see new use cases from customers. And please reach out to support, put things in our public roadmap, reach out to Peter if you have ideas on the scripting side. That's that. All right. So last thing we do, if you would like to stay, we're going to run through and answer a lot of questions that haven't been answered from the team that's coming up. This could be on questions that you have on features that are on the roadmap, things that might be happening, just thoughts or about certain topics that are here. One of the questions that I heard come up is, can you be more specific on the plan types that each of the features are available for? And that is something that we've added to the What's New page. So every time a feature comes out now, you can see the specific plan types that are supported by that particular feature. In general, we try not to feature gate, and pretty much every feature that we want to make available is available for all plan types with different usage type limitations that are there. All right, so I'm going to just kind of start reading through a few of the questions here. The first one is, are there plans to let users link any incoming Outlook email to SmartSuite record with a single click, not just replies to emails sent from SmartSuite or through automations? And the short answer is yes. So there's a lot of foundational work that's been done in this area. already. We'll continue to do that. There's some things behind the scenes that the team has been playing with, that our dev team has finished, that we've been playing with for 3 or 4 months now, which allows you to do fun things like embedding buttons inside of emails and Slack that then can, by the click of a button, can take an action back in SmartSuite, like updating the status or approving the status of a request that's came through. All of that's not ready to be released yet, but know that that's in testing and kind of finalizing things with customers that have an interest in that today. All right, move down to David. Any movement on a timesheets per user feature? The answer is there's a lot of features that are in the backlog. That one's got pushed back a couple of times based on some of these other features that are there. It is still on the roadmap, but I don't have an exact date for the full timesheet. However, we have lots of people that use SmartSuite for timesheets that we're happy to show you how that works right now. That's there, but we don't have a global timesheet feature to turn on just yet. I think Yossi is asking, can the conditional logic be tied to a user versus a field? Artem, it's not user specific as I read this. It's just, it's tab, section, and field specific, but we don't have, do we have a way to limit that condition to a group of users?
No, right now, whenever you specify a condition for a tab, let's say, it just, when a condition happens, tab gets hidden. Yeah, and it doesn't care who is working with that tab. And I think the question is, can you further say like, okay, this condition should only be applied to a team?
Okay. Yeah, sounds like that's a feature request that we need to get in there and look at enhancing what we have now to support that. Next one is, can you dynamically insert field in a document view? And that is coming. I wish it was there today, but you'll be able to do 2 things in document views. This relates to the SmartDoc field type and document view. That's here. You'll be able to insert particular field values that we're heading towards, but we also are going to go down a path of being able to insert view types. So if you have charts and graphs that you've set up, and being able to embed those directly into the view in real time. So it's just an extension of you viewing that in the view. You can also see it in the document in real time that's there. Question here, will SmartSuite include example prompts in support articles for the new feature? I'm assuming this is around AI, and the answer is yes. I think we already have 80 plus examples of AI field agents being used. Across all of our core solutions, our solution team have embedded AI in every template that we have for all of our new solutions that are available to give you examples. And then we're going to have a playbook section in the product and on the website that just gives you example prompts and shows you different ways that people are using the AI field agents that are there. Next one from Caitlin. Any plans for improvements to Doc Designer and Forms? Yeah, there's lots of updates that continue to happen on Forms that are there, so stay tuned for that. I don't have anything to mention specifically today, but that's something that's always worked on. And then Doc Designer, a couple of things on Doc Designer. So if you don't already know, we have a relationship that we implemented towards the end of last year with Docs Automator that allows you to use Google Docs to set templates to do very specific types of presentation that is needed. And Docs Designer just recently added here in the last 2 weeks as well, email e-signatures available through Docs that they support. So that is available now. We do have plans for some pretty significant enhancements to Doc Designer that will allow you to use templates from Google and Microsoft to be able to set the style of what needs to be displayed, and takes us where we ultimately want to be with our Doc Designer capability. Don't have an exact date on that, but that is coming. That's there. Next question, really quick. Any plans for official MCP server? Interesting here. We get this request almost weekly, almost daily probably now that's there. We do have a couple of customers that have built some interesting MCP servers and connected things to SmartSuite that's there. On the partner side, that's something that I think we're probably going to have a webinar and begin to show some things off that's there. Our team is also thinking about and working through kind of the formal requirements on how we'll officially support this. So I don't want to go down this path right now. There's a lot here we could spend 30 minutes on, but know that we are very quickly moving in this direction to do some really interesting things from an AI perspective for you. Have a question from Wendy. Is SmartSuite too sophisticated for a small team of two? The answer is we have thousands and thousands of customers that range from small user teams to companies of 100 plus thousand employees that have access to SmartSuite. So everything in between. It really depends on the type of workflow that you're trying to support. Our smaller customers typically use us around project management capabilities first, and then moving into sales, marketing, HR, finance type operational type pieces that are there. I think Caitlin looks like she helped answer that question for you as well. Asking for an ETA for client portals with different pricing based on SS or SmartSuite dashboards. So there's a number of enhancements that are taking place right now with dashboards that take us down the path to support a formal portal offering that's in place, that's there. And there's a concept of interfaces that is coming that I'll just tease you with here just a bit, that allows you to basically change the display type of what a solution looks like in SmartSuite, where you have each of the tables listed across the top. You'll be able to remove that table structure and have a single navigation structure on the left-hand side that is simplified by users, that will be able to access any view type in any solution. So you can get very tailored in how you're presenting the information. And that is the beginning of the portal offering that we'll have as well. We do now provide specialized portal pricing as needed for customers. So if this is something that you have a direct need for right now, please contact us and we can share how that is available now. Okay. All right. We have a question. Will sub-items be integrated, rolled up into the Gantt view? And the answer to that is yes. I think those of you that have been with us longer term know that we're migrating our sub-items capability to be a fully fledged linked record that's in place. And we're about halfway through all of our customers on that migration. And then that sets the stage to do exactly what you're asking for with the integrated roll up into Gantt charts that's there. So just know that sub-items will have exactly the same capabilities as a linked record. It will just have a different display element on how you display. That's, if you're a new customer, that's all already done. If you're an older customer, all of that is happening right now behind the scenes for you. Yossi's asking, will the scripting widget work on mobile and overall within the mobile app? And we're working through those right now, Yossi. In some cases, the answer is it'll work right out of the box. In other cases, there's things that we're going to need to do to support the display element on mobile that's there. But know that all that's been taken into account right now with the mobile team. Pete, anything to add on the?
Just that we are continuing to add other view types on mobile. We recently added timeline, and we've got several others on deck, in addition to the specific question on the scripting.
Yep. Okay. And looks like another one from Deck. Do changes to links made graphically on data schema carry through to the corresponding table in the actual solution? I think I understand this. So anything that data schema is a widget type that allows you to visualize the relationships between solutions and tables in SmartSuite that's there. So you can just add that to a dashboard if you're an admin and begin to see those relationships. It's something that's used thousands of times every week by customers that are building things out. Anything that you see live in data schema is showing you what's live on both sides at that current time. What some of the requests that we have with data schema is to allow you to actually edit field types directly from data schema. So that's not been implemented yet, but that's what's next that is coming here. And then asking if the help article indicates that they will, please clarify. I'm not sure on that, but we'll have someone look at that today for you, Deck. Looks like we have someone saying, There's a very basic capability that they'd like to be added. Justify text in the document creator text fields. Is that something you are going to fix? Artem, are you aware of what they're asking for here?
No, not really. So if you can provide just a little bit more details,
Yeah, I'd
whoever
say what.
knows that.
Yeah, we will, Moises, we'll get back to you on that here today. I'll ask someone to take a look at that. Another question here: to reduce build times, are we in the future able to define and save templates for choosing default record fields for new tables, choose the default field values, choose pre-save status, field templates, etc.? So there's multiple ways to answer this question. So right now on our homepage, the way that you can organize solutions on pages, a lot of people have a templates category section where they've added solutions that other people in the company can use and replicate. Specifically around project management is the one that's typically pretty hot on that. That happens quite often that's there. So people put them there, you just duplicate, that becomes your template library that's there. I think this question goes a couple of levels lower when that you can save templates for groups of record fields in tables, and you can attach those fields as opposed to needing to enter each one individually. That part is not, it's on the roadmap, but there's not anything that's been started on that side yet. But the templates for solutions and tables is something that has been solved that's there. Nick's asking any updates on portals, kind of went through that on where we're at with our new interfaces. Jamie Pete is asking if there's any chance we can provide the PDF combiner code. So I tell you what we'll do is we'll do a blog article from Pete associated with that, because that is used quite often, and then we'll publish that back out to everybody. And Emma, if you could just note that we'll need to send a note to Jamie on this, please. And David is asking a question on solution packaging for non-enterprise paid users. So for those of you not familiar with packaging, we have a capability on our enterprise plan that allows people to package multiple solutions together that have linked records between them and automations and everything with it. And then they can move those from a test environment to a staging to a production environment, kind of as a group that's there. So I think David is asking, hey, will you make that available for non-enterprise plans? And David, that's a capability that we're looking at the best way to do that now. You can create packages on enterprise plans that can be then used across any of our plan types that are there. But right now you can only create it on enterprise. But we do understand the request on this, and it's something that we're considering right now. All right, I think we've hit our 15-minute overreach here. I know there's some additional questions. We'll work with, we'll work with our team to document all these and make sure that we get back to everybody with answers that you have here. If you have questions on what's on the product roadmap, please visit our public roadmap. Add your requests that are there. The what's new. Every Tuesday and Thursday we publish what's new that's in there. So please keep an eye on that as well. And as always, we appreciate your time, and we will see you on the next What's New webinar here in about 3 months. Thank you for your time.